I was actually encouraged, I wanted to be able to do some trips and projects. So I started early on, I started a kind of special projects print club. And I would ask people to pre-purchase some prints from whatever trip I was going on. So to kind of invest in the project was my self-styled early version of what Kickstarter became, but was based on art historical awareness of something similar that ran in the 20s and 30s. And there was a Buffalo print club. There were other print clubs where people would kind of buy a subscription to an artist's output. And so, among the early collaborators are the people who helped make those projects possible. So a bunch of house painters and plumbers and neighborhood friends who were like, yeah, all right, we'll throw down, $50 or $100 for you to go and do this and bring it back and show it to us. I think my mom, in a sense, was a big collaborator because she was still alive, and she had entered nursing care and basically said, look, you've been here. It's your turn now. I want to see what you can do. Go out and see the world and bring it back, and show it to me. Like, don't get lost on your journey. Come back because I'll be waiting. But don't postpone your journey for me because I'm in a nursing home now and somebody else can take care of me. And, you were here. So now go there and show me what it's like. So, that was a kind of collaborative force that I have to recognize. I think when I started printing, I was printing at Campos and you were working behind the counter, and, you were a huge catalyst to me thinking about myself as a photographer and not as a house painter. I remember, and I tell the story often about how, you offered me an exhibit and I was like, nah, you got the wrong fucking Brendan Bannon. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a house painter, not a photographer. And you like showed me the invite that you had put together stealthy and was like, oh, well, too bad for you because 500 of these went out today and you're going to have a show whether you have something on the wall or not.
That
I
doesn't
don't
seem
know.
like me to be that bossy ever.
Oh, yeah, and you were right, because there was a lot of resistance. I described that great wall that I thought existed around, and I, even as I had snuck my way in, as a house painter, like I wasn't sure that I belonged there. And the secret is there's no there. Like, that's the real secret that nobody really wants to tell you, is that, the photography world doesn't exist. Um, there are figments of it all over the place. There are cliques and groups and ways that people define themselves as photographers, but there's no monolithic walled photography world that you need an invite to get into. But I think I needed that push or that pull from you to be like, all right, well, shit, that would be really humiliating if there was a show and the walls were empty. Um,
Do you
you know,
remember what was on the postcard?
huh?
You remember what was on the postcard?
Yeah, me and my dog Henry
Yes.
sitting in the corner. Which was also funny because I would like be stopped walking on Elmwood Avenue. Like I remember being stopped by some crazy guy in a pickup truck, um, who like slammed on the brakes and he was like, "Hey, it's you," and I was like, "Oh shit!" I'm like, what happened? Like, would I sleep with his wife or something? Like, this guy's all fired up, like, and he's pointing and, but he was happy to see me. So I figured it wasn't that. And he comes running out with that postcard. He's like,
Oh,
he's like,
I didn't know that.
he's like, I've been riding around in my truck with you and your dog since I found this like 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh my God.
I know exactly how that feels. And I was like, oh, that's great. Like, so you just, there's this great kind of, it's like you're putting a call out and you don't know if anybody hears it. And sometimes you find out that they heard it and it changed their life, or, you know, it's been on the road with them for a really long period of time. And it's pretty neat. You know, and that's kind of one of the experiences of photography that is a gift for kind of venturing out and being creative like that. Um, you know, other things kind of happened. One of the oh, so you know, I can't move past that story without bringing up Chris Bushover, who was a printer at Campos, who also took an interest in what I was doing. And you know, I also can't imagine how odd it must have been, like, you know, for somebody who didn't have a history with photography, who didn't have a training with photography, to just show up in the kind of hub of photography, like, you know, producing studied, like, thoughtful, exploratory images like I was doing.
You're in the same darkroom as John Fall.
True.
Like, that to me just makes sense.
Um, yeah, so, you know, all that stuff was happening. You gave me the show, and I was like, all right, well, I don't know how to print an exhibit. Like, I couldn't really figure out how to make an easel straight. Um, but Chris could, and I was like, dude, like, can I hire you to come in and print with me? And eventually, like, you know, he agreed, and he printed side by side with me. So I was like, you know, working at the earliest stages with a master printer. And
That's incredible.
he he'd look at the negatives I had and look at the things I was doing and be like, you can't do this. And I'd be like, what? And he was always kind of chippy and be like, it's against the rules. I mean, I remember a running joke with him, like, well, I don't know the rules, you know, so you can't hold me responsible for breaking them. Um, but that was, you know, for me at that point, that was a lot of the fun, was like, you know, I didn't know the rules. I wasn't really interested in learning them. I wanted to hold on to the idea that there were no rules. But I also wanted to learn how to do work at the highest level. And I didn't think rules made the highest level the highest level. I thought aesthetic, social, personal, uh, you know, inputs into the work or what gave it that value. You know, so and if I had looked for the rules, I would have stopped doing photography way earlier. So, you know, when I teach now, or when I start a collaborative project in a community, I'm like, here's one of the secrets. In photography, there are no rules. A couple principles I'd like you to follow as we work together, you know, and you're free to even throw those principles out down the line, but I think you'll find them useful. Um, is, you know, respect yourself, respect the process, and respect the people you photograph. Um, and if those are your guiding principles, you know, this will be fun, meaningful, and, you know, probably a surprisingly constructive activity for you to take part in. Yeah, so, you know, after that, like, I can really look through the years and find, you know, all kinds of different people who, you know, mentored or pulled me in closer, or offered an opportunity that, um, you know, that was ended up being transformational. You know, that, like, that just continued to happen. And usually, and thankfully, it was often people seeing that I was ready, you know, before I thought I was ready. Um, you know, that respect for the process and respect for the masters. And I think some of the sense of, like, you know, what those walls were, if I look back at them, was just an awe at what photography at the highest levels of articulation could offer, you know, and so it maybe wasn't a wall that was there to keep me out of photography. Maybe it was um, you know, a wall that was inviting me to climb it, and I needed to figure that out. And you know, I needed to work consistently to try and get to that level. And so I think my collaborations, which are, you know, largely kind of, some of them are based around teaching and empowering other people to photograph. Some of them are about, you know, hearing other people's curiosities and supporting a way for them to get there. Some of it's just about, you know, throwing things at the wall and seeing what sticks. But it's also kind of, part of it is just working to be attentive to where people may be going, because those were the things that were helpful to me. Being attentive to creating symbols of success or accomplishment for people to see, like, oh, okay, you know, I mean, there are these moments where I felt like I had arrived, like I did a job for UNICEF, and I was like, oh, I was a kid collecting pennies for UNICEF, and now I'm carrying a camera around photographing for them. Like, that was a cool kind of moment. You know, my mother was a Ukrainian refugee, and my extended family on her side, immediate and extended, are all Ukrainian refugees. And so when I had an opportunity to photograph in Africa for the UN High Commission for Refugees, that was another kind of moment where it was like, oh, you know what, like, I'm connected in some way to this story because, you know, I'm here on Earth because my family fled from Stalin's purges in Ukraine. Um, and you know, so that experience of being the son of refugees and existing because of the circumstances of war, which is probably why most of us exist anyway, at least in some point of our historical and DNA trajectory. Like, we can all trace our lives back to some shit that happened in war somewhere along the way. And you know, either the courageous or calamitous response, you know, to those circumstances. Like, and that, you know, for some of us, those generative moments are within recent memory, you know, or within the historical record. For others, you know, maybe the circumstances of their creation go back generations and are, you know, born that way before things were recorded for them. But finding myself with opportunity first to photograph and then to teach refugee youth, and to tell the stories of what they were going through, um, and how war had shaped their lives immediately.